Hey guys, this is God of Politics. Welcome back to a brand new video, but before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. But in today's video, we'll be answering the question, can Donald Trump win Minnesota? Now, you could argue Minnesota is kind of the one that got away back in 2016. If you look at the other Rust Belt states, obviously Donald Trump flipped Iowa, he flipped Michigan, he flipped Wisconsin, he flipped Pennsylvania, and he flipped Iowa, but he did not flip Minnesota. And if you look at the state of Minnesota in the 2016 election, we can see here that Hillary Clinton won the state of Minnesota by 1.52 percentage points here. We can see here that she only won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 counties. Donald Trump won all of the rest of the counties. Hillary Clinton, obviously, won the urban counties in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, as well as some of these Iron Range counties up in the north. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But if we compare it to the 2012 result, we can see here that Barack Obama won this state by 7.69 percentage points. And we can see he did, roughly the same in these urban counties, but he did so much better in these rural counties and, these areas in, all of the other parts of the state. And we can see this area here in the north that Hillary Clinton won counties from is much more blue. If we want to even compare it to 2008 here, we can see that this is even more blue here. And if we want to look at it on a more, localized level, a much more exact level, we can look at this website here called Dave's Redistricting. Now, you can use this to do gerrymander map, things like that, but I'll be using it in this case to show how much the electorate has changed. Now, this is the 2008 election in the state of Minnesota. Barack Obama won this election by 10.3 percentage points, so quite a substantial margin. He did obviously very well in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area here. If we want to look at the city lines, obviously this is the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and he did very well there. Minneapolis is here, St. Paul is here, obviously very dark blue, indicating that is very Democrat. And we can also see that he did very well in a lot of these rural areas here. See up in the north, these are rural areas, not the biggest counties here. This whole county here up in the north has 200,000 people. This county has 10,000. This county has 5,000. Normally, you'd suspect that these counties would go to the Democrats, but these counties here all went to the Republican Party. To the Democratic Party. But if we compare it to 2016, however, that's why I made the typo saying it was the Republican Party. Look at the change to 2016. This is 2008. This is 2016. We can see such a monumental and large change to the Republican Party in these rural areas. If we want to look at the the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and we go between 2008 and 2016, so here's 2016, and here is 2008, we can see that Hillary Clinton actually did better in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and it was mainly the suburban areas on the outside of this. So look at the outside, the lighter blue areas, the purple areas. This is 2008, and then we compare it to 2016, we can see these areas are now more blue. And that is, indicative of a very, big trend nationwide, where the suburbs are trending towards the Democrats, and the rural areas are trending towards the Republicans. And it's not as like there's, minorities up in these areas either. If we remove the partisan data, and we put in the demographic data, this is all white voters here. If we look to the right side right here, it shows the voting age population saying what race they are. We can see almost all of these areas are white voters here. We can look here, for example, this is a Native American area. This is also a white area here. But we can see here, you have some black voters here, things like that, as you normally would in a city. But generally, the state is quite a white state. It is, bordering North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Wisconsin, which are, also quite white states, and it is in the Midwest. It does show that there is a very, big change between this rural-urban divide. So if we put back on this partisan data here, this is 2016 again. You see a lot of red, and that was a lot closer, 8 points closer than this election, in which it was much more blue. And now getting on to this election, how does that change it? Well, if we look at the state of Minnesota in the 2020 election in terms of the betting odds, so if you want to look at my video from yesterday about the betting odds, how it plays out in the election, it's quite an interesting video. You should go check that out. Over the 90-day change here, we can see Joe Biden's chances of winning the state of Minnesota peaked at around 84 cents to Donald Trump's 21 cents. That number is down now all the way to 69 cents here, just updated today. on the date I'm recording this, his chances are falling. Part of that could be due to the riots. Part of that could be due to the convention being today. But the betting odds are, not doing as well for Joe Biden as they used to. And Minnesota isn't that much of a polled state, but if we do look at the polling data from this state, we can see that Joe Biden, well, he is ahead by 5.3%. So what's all that about? Well, if we look at the individual polling data here, we can see here that according to the polls, Joe Biden is ahead by 5.3% in the average. Now, we have 3 polls only in the average, only 3 polls. First is Trafalgar Group. Now, Trafalgar Group, if you don't know, has a pretty strong Republican lean. Now, if we look back at 2016, yes, they predicted Michigan would go to Trump. They predicted Pennsylvania would go to Trump as well. So they did get those results right. But if you look at the Sun Belt, for example, they predicted Ted Cruz would win by 8 points more than he did. They predicted Brian Kemp in 2018 would win by 10 points more than he did. If we look at Arizona, they predicted Martha McSally would win by 6 points more than she did. So they're polling, even in the Rust Belt when they predicted Donald Trump to win Michigan and Donald Trump to win Pennsylvania, they still overestimated the Republican Party, and they only have it as a tie. Before that, July 23rd to July 25th, they had Joe Biden up 5 percentage points. Now they have it as a tie, but we know that they always have a Republican bias, so that is going to, aid the Joe Biden when it comes down to it. If you look at the Emerson poll here, we can see Emerson has Joe Biden up by 3 percentage points. And if you want to say, I believe this Emerson poll, Joe Biden's only up by 3 percentage points within the margin of error in the state of Minnesota, well, then you should also believe the fact that Emerson shows that Joe Biden's up by 9 percentage points in the state of Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of inconsistencies here with these polls. Emerson's, started to use a new way of gathering polling data, in the past couple of years, and it's shown very inconsistent results, sometimes favoring Republicans, sometimes favoring Democrats. And so I wouldn't necessarily trust this poll too much. And then we finally have a Fox News poll here that shows Biden up by 13 points. So we can't really get anything in the middle of this. We have Joe Biden by 13, which isn't going to happen. We have it being a tie, which I don't think is going to happen either. And we have Emerson at Biden plus 3, which we know their polls are all over the place. So we don't really have much good polling data here. But if you want to look at how it translates onto the electoral map, this is a scenario that actually really could happen. Now, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I think are looking very likely to flip. I think even, some people who support Trump and think he's going to win would still think that Michigan and Pennsylvania would flip. Wisconsin's, more up in the air, but I think that could easily go to Joe Biden as well. In this scenario, if Donald Trump were to win Minnesota, if he were to get enough of those Iron Range voters onto the Democratic Party, again, if we change it to the 2016 results here and we look at the results in the Iron Range, there is still room to gain in these counties. If you look at this St. Louis County, for example, Hillary Clinton won this county by 12 percentage points of 2,000 people. So, again, 12% win in 2016. If you look at 2008, this was a win by 33 percentage points. So that is a 21% shift in 8 years. According to that same rate, this county would go to Donald Trump in 2016. While it's not the biggest county either, it can help Donald Trump overall. We have seen also the riots and the protest amongst the George Floyd thing, the Black Lives Matter protests. How would that change the election? Well, at first we saw that Donald Trump's approval rating for responding to these riots was not very positive. It was in the 30 percentage points, and that's really bad for him, especially considering how strong his base normally is and pretty unwavering. But now what we're seeing is that these riots are, could hurt suburban voters, which otherwise may vote for the Democratic Party, which are thinking, these riots are not good. Why would I vote for somebody who, you can label as saying it wouldn't continue? Whether I think that's accurate is probably not true, but that is what Donald Trump's trying to convey in his message, in his RNC speech. That's what he's expected to say. He's kind of taken on the message of law and order as part of his campaign as well. And while I think a lot of that is flawed data, and you may disagree with me on that, I'm just looking at this from an objective perspective, that could make a difference on the vote, and it could actually hurt Joe Biden. But again, back to the scenario here. If Donald Trump were to win Minnesota in this scenario, where you flip these 3 Rust Belt states, if he can get enough votes in those Iron Range and stop the suburban trend, he can win the state of Minnesota, and this would put it at a tie scenario here. And there's actually a lot of importance on this state. People are calling this the tipping point state, because say Donald Trump gets a normal win, wins Wisconsin, but say Joe Biden were to win Florida as well, well, then he's all the way down to 250. In that scenario, he has to win Pennsylvania, and then he gets up to 270. But if you take Minnesota out of the equation there, he's down to 260. And so there's a lot of different scenarios that you have to go through. But if you're, admitting as a Trump person who thinks Trump is going to win, that Joe Biden is going to, pull out a squeaker in Minnesota and Michigan and pull out a squeaker in Pennsylvania, well then, Michigan becomes exponentially more competitive and interesting. And it's a state that Donald Trump has tried to make a play for. We've seen earlier Donald Trump try to make plays at states like New Mexico and Colorado and Nevada. That does not make much sense. But now he's starting to make plays for states like Minnesota, and I believe this is a more smart campaign. Do I think he is going to win Minnesota at the end of the day? No. I will continue to put Minnesota in my predictions at around a lean to, even sometimes likely rating. But that does not mean Donald Trump does not have a chance, and that does not mean he's out of the running in the state, and we can see why he is making a play for this state. But, things can change. The election's 75 days or so away. That could be years in politics and, political time. And so many things can change, but that's just the state of the race now, and that is what I think about the state of Michigan. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description. So again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.